There's a moment, quiet, unspoken, when a man doesn't just like you, doesn't just desire you. He chooses you, and it's not when you chase him. It's not when you fix him. It's not even when you give him everything. It's when you show him this one truth. You were never waiting to be chosen. A man falls in love when you know who you are without him. This isn't a simple phrase. It's a transformative truth that holds the very essence of lasting relationships. The truth is, you are not here to find validation, approval, or completion through anyone, least of all a man. The moment you realize that, you unlock the kind of power that attracts a love so deep, so genuine, it cannot be replicated. A man doesn't fall in love with your need. He falls in love with your wholeness. It's this sense of completeness, this unwavering self-assurance, that draws him in like nothing else can. When you know who you are without relying on someone else to define you, you create a space where love doesn't have to be earned, it just is. This is the core of authentic attraction, the power to stand fully in your truth, not because of what others think, but because you know who you are without anyone's approval. This doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean you've figured it all out. It means you're comfortable with yourself, flaws and all, and you don't need anyone to complete you. A man recognizes this because it signals strength, a strength that is quiet but unshakable, a force that doesn't bend to every whim or momentary insecurity. He sees it, he feels it, and it makes him want to stay. Think about the way people move through life when they're constantly seeking external validation. It's exhausting, isn't it? The constant searching, the endless need for approval, the feeling that you must do, be, or become something in order to be worthy of love. But when you realize that your worth is intrinsic, that it doesn't come from someone else's gaze or their affirmation, you experience a freedom so powerful that you no longer need to chase after love. Love finds you not because you sought it, but because you've become so grounded in yourself that it gravitates toward you naturally. This isn't an act of trying to be confident or pretending to be content. It's about truly understanding that you have enough within you to stand on your own without apologies. When you begin to step into this version of yourself, you stop performing. You stop wearing the mask of someone you think you need to be in order to be loved or desired. The act of showing up authentically, without the fear of judgment, rejection, or ridicule, creates an undeniable magnetic force. A man falls in love not because of a version of you that you've carefully curated for him, but because of the person you've cultivated for yourself. This is not the shallow version of love, the one based on looks or superficial qualities. This is the kind of love that goes deep, anchored in respect for your own identity and the courage to show it fully without pretense. This level of confidence doesn't stem from arrogance, but from self-respect. It is the quiet assurance that you don't need to justify your existence, your desires, or your boundaries to anyone. When you understand this, you stop looking for someone to give you permission to take up space. You take up space without fear, without shame. You own your worth, your value, and your unique perspective in a way that demands respect, not through force, but through the simple act of existing unapologetically. A man falls in love with this version of you, the woman who is self-assured, who knows that her identity doesn't depend on another person's approval. He's drawn to the strength that comes from this kind of self-sufficiency, and it challenges him to rise to meet you, not to change you. But it's important to realize that this doesn't mean you have to be perfect or have it all together. It doesn't mean you're immune to doubt, insecurity, or fear. You'll still have moments when you feel vulnerable or unsure. But knowing who you are without needing someone to define you means that you can weather those moments without losing your sense of self. You can lean into your imperfections, admit your mistakes, and still know that you are worthy of love and respect. You don't need to be flawless to be loved. You need to be real, and when you are real, a man will fall for you, not the polished, perfect version of you, but the raw, unfiltered you, because it is in that authenticity that true connection is born. True love isn't about rescuing or fixing. It's about meeting someone who is already whole, and choosing to walk beside them in the journey of life. When you know who you are, without depending on anyone else for that knowledge, you present yourself as a complete individual. And when you do this, you give a man the chance to choose you for who you truly are. He's not falling for someone he's trying to save or improve. He's falling for someone who has already chosen herself. And in that choosing, you invite him to choose you, not because he has to, but because he wants to. This understanding, this belief in your own wholeness, is what makes a relationship sustainable. It's what prevents you from losing yourself in the dynamic of the relationship. When you stop relying on another person to define your worth, you create space for mutual love, respect, and growth. Love can't thrive in an environment where one person is always seeking validation from the other. But when both people stand confidently in their own truth, the relationship becomes an enriching partnership rather than an emotional crutch. A man will fall for you not because you need him to fill a void, but because your love for yourself and your life pulls him in, making him want to share in that journey with you. There is power in knowing who you are. And when you understand that, you give the greatest gift to yourself and to anyone who enters your life. The freedom to love without fear, without games, without the constant need for validation. You are enough, and that is the moment when love can truly begin. A man falls in love when you speak with no mask. There is something profoundly magnetic about authenticity, a force so powerful that it transcends all surface-level attraction. It's the moment when you shed all pretense and show up in your truth, unfiltered and raw. You're not speaking to impress or to win someone over. You're speaking because you believe in the value of your voice, the significance of your words, and the truth of who you are. This isn't an act of bravery, it's an act of liberation. When you speak without a mask, you invite a man to meet you in your most genuine form, and in that space, love has the room to flourish. In relationships, there is a tendency to perform, to adapt ourselves to what we think others want. We try to be the woman we believe a man will find most attractive, most charming, most worthy of his affection. But in doing so, we lose the essence of who we truly are. The fear of rejection, the desire to please, and the longing for validation lead us to put on a mask. But here's the truth, the most authentic love, the kind that endures, that is grounded in respect and true connection, is never built on performances. It's built on vulnerability, on the courage to show up just as you are, without trying to be someone else. When you stop wearing the mask, something incredible happens. You give others permission to do the same. It becomes a cycle of honesty and openness that strengthens the bond between you and the people in your life, especially the man you desire to love. He will see your true self, unedited, uncurated, and he'll recognize something rare. He won't see a version of you that's designed to fit into a box. He'll see you asterisk, your quirks, your edges, your brilliance, your fears. And that is when love starts to become more than just a desire, it becomes a true connection. He'll see the strength in your vulnerability, and instead of running from it, he'll lean into it because there's something incredibly powerful about a woman who isn't afraid to stand in her own truth. Too often, we mistake vulnerability for weakness, when, in fact, it is the greatest strength we possess. It takes immense courage to drop the facade and speak openly, to let someone in without the shield of perfection or the need for validation. But when you do, you show the world that you are whole and secure in who you are. And that is what a man falls in love with. Not the curated version of you, but the real you. The woman who owns her voice, who speaks her truth, and who isn't afraid of the messy, beautiful, imperfect parts of herself. This is what draws him in, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. He'll fall for your ability to be unapologetically yourself, and in that, he'll find a love that is based on genuine connection, not illusion. In every interaction, whether it's casual or deep, we have the choice to either be ourselves or to pretend to be someone we think others want. And while pretending may seem like an easy path to acceptance, It never creates the kind of intimacy that comes from authenticity. When you speak from your heart with no mask, you create a space for the other person to do the same. You invite him to open up, to let down his guard, and to show up as he truly is. And it's in this exchange, this mutual unveiling, that the deepest form of connection is formed. It's no longer about impressing each other. It's about truly seeing each other, and that is the foundation upon which lasting love is built. The moment you speak without a mask is the moment you stop playing games. You stop measuring your words, calculating your actions, wondering if they'll love you more or less depending on what you say or do. Instead, you simply let your truth flow. You stop worrying about how you'll be perceived because your only focus is on being real. And when a man sees you doing this, unfiltered, unpretentious, and unapologetic in your authenticity, he sees a woman who is not afraid to be vulnerable, and that, my dear, is magnetic. It draws him in because it's rare and it's powerful. He will fall in love with this version of you, the version that doesn't hide, doesn't mask, and doesn't pretend. Being real means embracing all of yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears, your dreams. When you stop pretending, you stop trying to fit into the box of what others expect of you. You are free to be exactly who you are. This authenticity doesn't just apply to how you speak. It extends to how you show up in the world. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you interact with others, the way you hold your own in situations. When you speak without a mask, you bring all of yourself into the conversation, and that presence, your whole, unapologetic self, is what captivates a man. It's the kind of love that isn't built on illusion or superficiality. It's built on realness, on the unvarnished truth of who you are. What makes this so powerful is the impact it has on him. When you let down your mask, when you allow yourself to be fully seen, you invite him to do the same. You create a space where both of you can be real, no games, no pretending. And in that space, something extraordinary happens. You build a connection that is unshakable because it is founded on truth. This isn't just about attraction. It's about deep, authentic, and lasting love. A man will fall for you not because you've tried to be something you're not, but because you've allowed him to see you, to truly no asterisk you. And that is the most powerful force in love. When you speak with no mask, you stop hiding behind what you think others want to see, and instead, you show up as you are, beautifully flawed, perfectly imperfect, and entirely real. This is the foundation upon which genuine love is built, and a man, he'll fall in love with you when he sees your true face, your true heart, and your true soul, because that is the most magnetic thing there is, a woman who is unapologetically herself. A man falls in love when you don't need to be chosen. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But it's the deepest, most profound truth about love and relationships. The moment you stop waiting to be chosen, you unlock the kind of freedom that allows love to bloom naturally. So often, we believe that our worth is contingent upon another person's decision to choose us, to validate us. But the moment you realize that your worth is not dependent on another person's approval, you stop seeking validation from anyone. And in that space of self-assurance, you create the conditions for a love that is based not on need, but on mutual respect and genuine connection. When you stop waiting to be chosen, you shift from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance. The constant search for affirmation, the quiet desperation to prove that you are worthy of love, these things vanish. Instead, you live in the knowledge that you are already whole, already worthy, already deserving of love. This shift in perspective is transformative. It doesn't mean that love doesn't matter to you or that you stop seeking meaningful relationships. It means that you no longer give your power away to someone else's choice. You don't need to be picked to feel valuable. You recognize that your value is intrinsic, and when you approach love from this place of confidence, it changes everything. The beauty of not needing to be chosen is that it gives you the freedom to choose yourself first. When you love yourself fully, when you are content and whole on your own, you stop seeking someone else to fill gaps or provide a sense of completion. You realize that love isn't about someone rescuing you or fixing you. It's about two whole individuals coming together, choosing each other, not because they have to, but because they want to. You're no longer in a place of emotional dependency, and that independence makes you incredibly attractive. A man who sees that strength in you, who sees that you are not dependent on him to validate your worth, will fall in love with you, not because he feels obliged to fill some void, but because he genuinely wants to be a part of your life. There is something incredibly powerful about a woman who knows she is enough without anyone else's confirmation. It's not arrogance, it's self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic. When you stop seeking love as a means of proving your worth, you enter a space where love can come to you freely and naturally. You attract people who are aligned with your energy, people who see you for who you truly are. A man who is drawn to your confidence, who falls in love with your wholeness, is a man who sees your strength, not just in your independence, but in your ability to stand firm in your own value. He will recognize that he's not rescuing you, he's simply sharing in a life that you've already built for yourself. The fear of rejection is a powerful force, and it often drives us to behave in ways that aren't true to who we are. We become people pleasers, doing everything we can to win someone's affection, to secure a place in their life. But when you release the need to be chosen, you release that fear. You stop holding yourself hostage to someone else's approval. And in that release, you find freedom. The freedom to love without conditions, to be loved without the expectation that you will be chosen in the way you think you should be. This doesn't mean you stop caring about the people in your life or stop desiring connection. It means that you care about yourself more. You value your own presence and love yourself enough to never settle for anything less than the kind of love that complements and elevates who you are. It's important to understand that when you stop needing to be chosen, you stop seeking love from a place of lack. And when you stop coming from a place of lack, you become more open, more receptive to the love that is meant for you. You no longer hold onto relationships out of fear of being alone or out of the belief that love is a scarce resource. You understand that love is abundant and that it's not something to chase or cling to. Love will come to you when the time is right, and when it does, it will feel natural, effortless, and full of respect. This is the kind of love that you deserve, love that is given freely, not out of obligation, but because both partners choose to be together out of love, not necessity. One of the most profound shifts occurs when you stop waiting to be chosen and begin choosing yourself. You start to recognize that your happiness, your worth, and your sense of fulfillment are not dependent on someone else's decision to love you. This is where true personal power lies, in the ability to stand in your own worth without requiring anyone else's affirmation. And when you stand in that power, love is no longer something you chase. It's something that comes naturally because you have become a magnet for it. A man will fall for you when he sees you loving yourself first, when he recognizes that you are complete on your own and that his love is simply an addition to your already fulfilling life. Ultimately, the key to attracting the right love lies in your ability to let go of the need to be chosen. The more you embrace your own worth, the more you radiate the kind of confidence that makes others want to be near you. This doesn't mean you should be closed off to love or unwilling to open your heart. On the contrary, it means you are open to love because you no longer need it to feel validated. You are complete as you are, and that kind of self-sufficiency is what draws the right person into your life. A man will fall in love with you not because you need him to complete you, but because he sees in you a woman who is already whole, already powerful, and already worthy of a love that is deep, authentic, and unwavering. A man falls in love when you set boundaries without apology, This is one of the most powerful and often overlooked aspects of a healthy relationship. Boundaries are not just limits, they are declarations of self-respect, values, and personal needs. They are an assertion of who you are, what you stand for, and what you will or will not tolerate. Too often, women are taught to be accommodating, to make themselves smaller in the presence of others in order to avoid conflict or keep the peace. But the truth is, real love is built on respect, and respect begins with knowing where your boundaries lie. When you can clearly communicate those boundaries without fear of judgment or guilt, you create the space for a love that is grounded in mutual respect and understanding. Setting boundaries without apology is an act of courage. It takes a woman who is confident in her own worth to assert what is acceptable and what is not. When you assert your boundaries, you're not trying to control anyone. You're simply expressing what keeps you safe, valued, and respected. A man who respects you will honor those boundaries, and that respect will deepen his love for you. A man who ignores your boundaries, on the other hand, will only erode the very foundation of the relationship. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges that create healthy, sustainable dynamics. They allow both partners to feel seen, heard, and valued, and they protect the relationship from resentment and power struggles. Too often, women are conditioned to believe that being nice or easygoing is the key to maintaining a relationship, but this often comes at the expense of their own needs and desires. The danger in ignoring your own boundaries is that it leads to burnout, frustration, and, ultimately, resentment. When you consistently suppress your own needs for the sake of someone else's comfort, you lose touch with yourself. Your sense of self-worth starts to erode, and over time, it becomes harder to advocate for your needs. But when you learn to communicate your boundaries with clarity and confidence, you create the conditions for a relationship that honors both your needs and the needs of your partner. And that is the kind of love that thrives, one built on understanding, not sacrifice. Setting boundaries is also about understanding your own emotional limits and recognizing when something is no longer healthy for you. It's about taking responsibility for your own well-being and not placing the burden of your happiness on someone else. When you communicate your boundaries effectively, you show that you value yourself enough to protect your own peace and emotional health. This doesn't mean you're unwilling to compromise or that you're inflexible. It means that you know what you need to feel safe, respected, and loved, and you won't settle for anything less. When a man sees that you can prioritize your own well-being, he will be drawn to the strength that comes from this kind of self-respect. He will recognize that you are not here to be saved or fixed. You are here to be an equal partner in a relationship that honors both people's needs. The most important aspect of setting boundaries is that it allows both partners to feel free. When boundaries are clearly communicated and respected, it creates a sense of emotional safety where both individuals can fully express themselves without fear of rejection or judgment. A relationship without boundaries is one that is constantly in flux. A relationship where one partner is always trying to please the other at the expense of their own happiness. But when you stand firm in your boundaries, you create the space for both you and your partner to be your authentic selves. You show him that you trust him enough to respect your needs and that you trust yourself enough to uphold them. This mutual trust is the foundation of a healthy relationship, and it is what makes love sustainable and fulfilling. There is an immense strength in vulnerability, and setting boundaries is an act of vulnerability. It requires you to expose your innermost needs and desires, to admit what you will and will not tolerate, and to stand firm in the face of potential conflict. This vulnerability is not weakness. It is the opposite. It is the courage to be honest about what you need, even when it's difficult. When you can be open about your boundaries without apology, you create an environment where both you and your partner can show up as your true selves. This is the kind of love that is transformative because it is not built on pretense or expectations. It is built on the freedom to be exactly who you are, to express yourself fully, and to know that your partner will respect and honor that. Setting boundaries without apology also means learning to say no without guilt. So often, women are conditioned to believe that saying no is a form of rejection, but in reality, saying no is an act of self-respect. It is not about shutting someone down. It is about standing up for your own needs and protecting your emotional space. A man will fall in love with you when he sees you have the strength to say no when necessary, because it shows him that you are not afraid to put yourself first. It's a sign of emotional maturity and self-awareness, qualities that will deepen his admiration and love for you. A man who truly loves you will appreciate your boundaries because he will recognize that they come from a place of self-respect, not selfishness. Ultimately, setting boundaries without apology is a reflection of your own self-love. It is about recognizing that you are worthy of respect and that you deserve to be treated with kindness, honesty, and care. When you assert your boundaries, you are not only protecting yourself, you are also teaching others how to treat you. A man who loves you will honor your boundaries because he understands that they are not walls keeping him out, but rather guidelines that help both of you thrive together. When you stand firm in your boundaries, you create a relationship built on mutual respect, trust, and love. The kind of love that has the power to last. A man falls in love when you let him see your emotional world. Too often, we are conditioned to believe that we must always be strong, that showing vulnerability equates to weakness. We hide our emotions, thinking we will appear more composed, more in control, and therefore more attractive. But the truth is that emotional transparency is one of the most powerful ways to connect with another person. When you allow yourself to be seen in your highs and lows, you invite a man into your inner world, creating a space for intimacy that cannot be replicated through any other means. The real connection begins when you show him who you truly are, when you let down the walls, release the armor, and allow yourself to be fully human. Opening up emotionally does not mean unloading all your burdens or turning every conversation into an emotional venting session. It means sharing pieces of yourself, your thoughts, your fears, your dreams. It means letting him in, letting him see your heart, your essence. When you let a man see your emotional world, you show him that you trust him enough to share your innermost feelings. And trust is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. Trust is built over time through moments of vulnerability, of sharing, of allowing each other to be human. When a man feels trusted with your emotions, when he sees you in your most vulnerable state, he is more likely to open up to you as well. This emotional exchange deepens the bond between you, creating an emotional intimacy that is irreplaceable. The beauty of sharing your emotional world is that it offers him a chance to truly no asterisk you. So many relationships are built on surface-level conversations, on carefully curated images of ourselves. But when you are willing to show the messier, less polished parts of yourself, you allow the relationship to become something real. A man will fall in love with you when he sees that you are more than just a pretty face or a pleasant personality. He will fall for the depth of your character, the richness of your emotional life. When you share your vulnerabilities, you create the opportunity for him to experience the raw, unfiltered version of you, and that authenticity, your true self, is what makes you unforgettable. But emotional transparency is not a one-way street. It's not just about you sharing your emotions. It's about creating a safe space for him to do the same. Many men, just like women, carry emotional burdens and have fears and dreams that they are afraid to share. When you allow yourself to be emotionally open, you encourage him to be open too. You show him that it's safe to be vulnerable in front of you, that you won't judge him or reject him for being human. This mutual vulnerability is what creates the deepest level of intimacy. It's when both partners can show their scars, their struggles, their dreams, and know they will be accepted, not judged. That is the foundation of a relationship that lasts. One of the most beautiful aspects of letting a man see your emotional world is that it also invites him to become your emotional support. He will fall in love with you not just because of your beauty or your intelligence, but because you allow him to be part of your emotional journey. You allow him to be there for you in your tough moments, to offer you his support, to help you carry your emotional load. This doesn't mean that you should rely on him to fix everything, or that you should expect him to carry all your emotional burdens. It simply means that you trust him enough to lean on him when you need to, and that in turn strengthens the emotional bond between you both. He will admire your strength in asking for help, your courage in being vulnerable, and your willingness to let him in. However, it's crucial to understand that letting him see your emotional world does not mean you have to be perfect. In fact, showing him your imperfections is one of the most powerful things you can do. When you show up as your authentic self, without pretending to have it all together, you demonstrate confidence in your own humanity. You show him that you don't need to be flawless to be worthy of love. You don't need to put on a front or hide the parts of yourself that are still healing. A man will fall in love with your imperfections, with your willingness to embrace the journey of growth, because he will recognize that you are real, and realness is what makes love sustainable. In a world where perfection is often glorified, there is something incredibly refreshing about a woman who is comfortable with her own flaws and open about them. In relationships, it's easy to feel the pressure to always be strong, to always have it together. But the truth is, strength isn't about hiding your emotions or pretending that everything is okay all the time. Real strength is found in vulnerability, the willingness to let down your guard and be seen for who you truly are. When you let a man see your emotional world, you are showing him that you trust him enough to be vulnerable, to share your truth, and to allow him into the depths of who you are. This kind of strength is magnetic. It draws him closer to you, not because you need saving, but because he recognizes that you are someone who is comfortable in your own skin, someone who doesn't need to hide her emotions to feel worthy of love. It's a kind of strength that is rooted in self-acceptance and a deep belief that you are worthy of love, just as you are. Emotional transparency also creates the kind of love that is built on understanding and empathy. When you share your feelings, your fears, and your hopes, you give him the opportunity to understand you on a deeper level. And when he understands you, he can support you in ways that a surface-level connection never could. This level of emotional understanding fosters empathy, the ability to feel what the other person is feeling, to walk alongside them in their emotional experiences. And empathy is one of the most powerful forces in any relationship. When a man can feel your emotions, can understand the depths of your heart, he will fall in love with you not just because of how you make him feel, but because of how deeply he feels for you. The emotional connection will run so deep that it becomes impossible to ignore, and it becomes the foundation of a love that is lasting, meaningful, and unshakable. A man falls in love when you allow him to see your vulnerability. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as a weakness, but in truth, it is one of the greatest strengths you can exhibit in a relationship. In a world that often encourages people to put up walls, to shield themselves from hurt and rejection, being open and honest about your emotions creates a deep and authentic connection. When you let someone see your vulnerable side, you are offering them the opportunity to witness the real you, the raw, unfiltered version of yourself. And in doing so, you create an environment where true intimacy can flourish. When a man sees that you are not afraid to expose your heart, your fears, and your desires, it shows him that you trust him deeply, and trust is the foundation of lasting love. Vulnerability isn't about sharing everything all at once or dumping your emotional baggage on someone. It's about knowing that you can let down your guard and share parts of yourself with someone without fear of judgment. You can share your hopes, your fears, your dreams, your past pain, and your moments of uncertainty. The beauty of vulnerability lies in the trust it builds. When a man sees you being vulnerable, he is invited to do the same. He can begin to open up, share his own truths, and reveal parts of himself he might have kept hidden. The exchange of vulnerability strengthens the bond between you, allowing for deeper communication and a deeper understanding of each other. It is in these moments that love transcends surface-level attraction and becomes a profound connection of souls. When you are vulnerable, you also show a man that you are not afraid of imperfections. Everyone has flaws, fears, and insecurities, and trying to hide them only keeps you from truly connecting with someone. Embracing your vulnerability is an act of self-acceptance. You no longer need to pretend to be perfect or to have everything figured out. Instead, you embrace the idea that it's okay to be messy, to be a work in progress. This authenticity creates a safe space where both you and your partner can grow and evolve together. A man will fall in love with you when he sees that you are not trying to be someone you're not, but are simply showing up as you, imperfect and beautiful in your humanity. Being vulnerable doesn't mean that you are weak or helpless. It means that you are strong enough to show up fully in a relationship. It takes immense courage to open up and expose your heart. By allowing a man to see your vulnerability, you are offering him a chance to be a part of your journey, not just in your moments of triumph, but in your moments of struggle as well. This level of emotional honesty fosters compassion and understanding. When a man can witness your vulnerability, he can see the depth of your emotions, your resilience, and your capacity for love. It draws him closer because it allows him to understand you on a level that goes far beyond appearances or superficial conversation. What's even more powerful is that vulnerability fosters connection by breaking down emotional barriers. So often, people put up walls because they fear being hurt, rejected, or misunderstood. But the truth is, those walls only serve to keep us isolated from the very connection we crave. When you let your guard down and share your truth with someone, you create an invitation for him to do the same. This creates an emotional bond that goes beyond the surface. You are no longer two people simply existing together. You are two people who are sharing and experiencing life on a deeper level. In doing so, you cultivate a relationship that is rich in empathy, trust, and mutual understanding. This shared vulnerability creates a bond that can weather the storms of life because it is rooted in authenticity. The act of being vulnerable also opens the door to emotional intimacy. Emotional intimacy is the glue that holds relationships together, and it is only possible when both partners are willing to be open with each other. When you share your vulnerabilities, you allow the relationship to move beyond the physical or superficial connection into something much deeper. You share your fears, your dreams, your past hurts, and your most intimate desires. This exchange is incredibly powerful because it demonstrates a willingness to be seen and known, without pretense or fear of rejection. A man will fall in love with you when he sees you allowing him into your emotional world, because it shows him that you trust him to handle the most precious parts of your heart. Ultimately, vulnerability is about connection. It's about showing up in the relationship as your true self, without the masks or defenses that you may have put up in the past. It's about sharing your struggles, your victories, and everything in between. When a man sees that you can be vulnerable, he sees someone who is real, someone who is not afraid to be authentic, even when it's difficult. Vulnerability brings you closer to your partner in ways that perfection or control never could. It allows love to flourish in its most genuine form, and it creates the kind of bond that lasts, because it's built on mutual trust and emotional openness. A man will fall in love with you when he sees that you are willing to embrace your vulnerability and invite him to do the same. In doing so, you create a love that is not just based on attraction, but on a deep, emotional connection that transcends the superficial and touches the heart. A man falls in love when you are unafraid to embrace your flaws. It's so easy to think that love is about being perfect, that the more polished we are, the more likely we are to attract the kind of partner we want. We strive for perfection in our looks, our actions, our lives, often thinking that if we are flawless, we will be worthy of love. But perfection is an illusion. It's a standard that no one can meet consistently, and in trying to do so, we often lose touch with who we really are. Real love, the kind that lasts, isn't based on perfection. It's based on acceptance, on embracing one another's imperfections, quirks, and flaws. When you are unafraid to show the world your real self, flaws and all, you invite the kind of love that is authentic, raw, and deeply fulfilling. When you embrace your flaws, you give permission for others to do the same. This is powerful because it creates a safe, non-judge, mental space where both partners can show up as their true selves. Many people feel the need to hide their imperfections for fear of being judged or rejected. But when you make peace with your flaws, you teach those around you that they too can be authentic. A man will fall in love with you not because you are perfect, but because you are real. He will admire your ability to accept yourself fully, flaws and all, and it will allow him to do the same. The vulnerability in this process, the willingness to be seen in your entirety, makes you incredibly attractive. It shows strength, confidence, and emotional depth. Embracing your flaws also teaches you the power of self-compassion. Often, we are our harshest critics, focusing only on the parts of ourselves that we believe need fixing or improving. But when you learn to embrace your imperfections, you begin to treat yourself with kindness. You stop holding yourself to unattainable standards and instead focus on growth and self-love. This shift in mindset not only transforms your relationship with yourself, but it also influences how you show up in relationships. When you are kind to yourself, you are more likely to be kind to others. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You just need to be willing to show up, to accept your journey, and to continue growing. A man who sees you treating yourself with love and compassion will be drawn to you, not just for your strength, but for the grace with which you accept your imperfections. There is something profoundly attractive about someone who isn't afraid to show their scars. Emotional scars, past mistakes, failures, and experiences are a part of what make us who we are. And when you embrace these aspects of your life, you demonstrate incredible resilience. A man who sees you embracing your scars will be moved by your strength. It takes courage to show the parts of yourself that are still healing, to expose the moments in your life that have left you wounded, yet stronger. These scars are not a sign of weakness. They are a testament to your ability to overcome, to grow, and to continue moving forward. A man will fall in love with you when he sees your scars not as imperfections, but as the evidence of your resilience and your capacity to love deeply, despite the pain you've endured. In relationships, we often fear being judged for our flaws, for our mistakes, or for the parts of us that we think aren't good enough. But when you fully embrace your flaws, you stop fearing judgment. Instead, you become liberated. You understand that love isn't about being perfect, it's about being understood. When you let go of the pressure to be flawless, you free yourself from the weight of unrealistic expectations. This freedom is magnetic. A man will fall in love with you when he sees that you are not afraid to stand in your truth, no matter how messy or imperfect it may seem. This authenticity creates a space where both of you can truly connect, without the fear of rejection or judgment. It's a love that is based on honesty and mutual respect, not on meeting superficial standards. This journey of embracing your flaws also teaches you the invaluable lesson of patience. Patience with yourself as you navigate your own imperfections, and patience with your partner as they work through their own. Love isn't about fixing each other. It's about supporting each other as you grow and evolve together. When you can accept your own flaws, you create the capacity to be patient with others. You understand that growth is a lifelong process, and that love requires a gentle, compassionate approach. A man will fall in love with you not just because you embrace your own flaws, but because you have the patience to accept him as he is, and to walk alongside him on his own journey of growth. The beauty of embracing your flaws is that it creates a relationship that is grounded in reality. So often, we enter relationships with unrealistic expectations, believing that love will solve our problems or that a perfect partner will make us whole. But love isn't about finding someone who is perfect. It's about finding someone who is willing to walk with you through both the good and the bad. When you embrace your flaws, you stop searching for perfection and start searching for someone who can love you in your entirety. This creates a bond that is not based on fantasy, but on the reality of who you both are, with all your strengths and weaknesses. A man will fall in love with you when he sees that you are not looking for someone to complete you, but someone who will love you as you are, imperfect, flawed, and beautifully human. At the core, embracing your flaws is about owning your story. It's about saying, "This is who I am, and I am worthy of love just as I am." It's a powerful declaration of self-love, self-acceptance, and self-worth. When you embrace your flaws, you stop apologizing for them. You stop hiding them in shame, and instead, you stand proudly in the fullness of your humanity. This is a quality that is incredibly magnetic. A man will fall in love with you when he sees that you are not afraid to own your story, to claim your worth, and to live authentically. And in doing so, you will create the kind of love that is real, deep, and lasting. The kind of love that isn't built on perfection, but on the beautiful, messy, authentic reality of who you are. In the end, a man falls in love with you when you allow him to see the real you, the vulnerable, imperfect, and beautifully human version of yourself. It's not about being flawless, it's about being honest, being authentic, and being unafraid to show your heart. When you embrace vulnerability, you give both yourself and your partner the gift of connection, trust, and emotional intimacy. And this is what builds a relationship that lasts, a love grounded in the truth of who you both are. So, let go of the fear of being imperfect and allow yourself to be seen. Because when you do, you'll find the kind of love that doesn't just survive, but thrives in the authenticity of vulnerability.